Lieutenant Hanjaw looked up at the sky over Seoul. Something was wrong. The clouds didn't move like normal clouds. They moved in circles, like birds looking for dead animals. "Sir, you need to see this," said Han into his radio. He stood on the roof of the military base, his eyes fixed on the strange patterns above. Han was not a man who scared easily. At 32, he had seen combat in 3 countries. But the way the clouds moved made his skin feel cold. "What am I looking at, Lieutenant?" Colonel Yoon stepped onto the roof, squinting at the sky. "I'm not sure, sir. They've been moving like this for 20 minutes. Not like any weather pattern I've ever seen." More people came to the roof. Soldiers pointed up. Phones came out to take pictures. No one spoke much. They all just watched. Then the clouds broke. What came through them was not sunlight. It was metal. Huge shapes of dark metal, so big they blocked the sun. They looked like giant birds circling in the sky, like vultures waiting for something to die. "Those aren't planes," Han said quietly. His hand moved to the gun at his side, though he knew it would be useless against whatever those things were. Alarms began to sound across the city. On other rooftops, people stood frozen, looking up. Cars stopped in the streets. The whole city seemed to hold its breath. Han's phone buzzed. It was an emergency alert. Similar objects were appearing over cities all around the world. New York, London, Beijing. Everywhere. "Get everyone inside," Colonel Yoon ordered. "Now." Han helped clear the roof. As people rushed down the stairs, screens in the command center showed the same scene playing out globally. Giant ships hanging in the sky, waiting. Lieutenant Han called Captain Kim from a computer. "You know about the old tunnels under the city, right?" Han nodded. Before joining the military, he had studied engineering. His special focus had been Seoul's underground systems, subway tunnels, bunkers from old wars, forgotten passages. "Good, because I think we're going to need them." The radio channels filled with chatter. Fighter jets scrambled worldwide, but kept distance from the vessels. No one wanted to start a fight they couldn't win. At exactly noon, every screen, phone, and radio on Earth broadcast the same message. "People of Earth, we are the Talon Imperium. Your world has resources we require. You have 7 days to surrender control of your major cities. Those who resist will be removed. Those who comply will be permitted to live in designated areas." The message repeated in every language. Then the screens went dark. "They talk like we're insects," Han said. "Like we don't matter." "Get your gear," Colonel Yoon told him. "I want maps of every tunnel, every underground space in Seoul. If these things attack, we need places to hide, to move people, to fight back." Han nodded and turned to go, but stopped when Captain Kim called out. "Look, they're dropping something." From the giant ships, smaller craft descended. They looked like birds too, sleek and predatory. They hovered over key points in the city, government buildings, power plants, water treatment facilities. "They're mapping targets," Han said. "Learning where to hit us if we don't surrender." Colonel Yoon's face hardened. Well, they're in for a surprise. Humans don't give up so easily. As Han gathered his maps and equipment, he thought about the tunnels beneath the city. Dark, tight spaces where flying things would have no advantage, where humans knew the way but aliens wouldn't. The vultures might control the sky, but the ground beneath their feet, that belonged to humans, and Han knew those underground paths better than anyone. He spread his old maps on the table. His fingers traced the tunnels that ran like veins under Seoul, like a snake hiding in the grass, waiting to strike. "You want our world," he whispered to the aliens he couldn't see. "Then you'll have to come down here and take it." 3 days after the ships appeared, the Talon Imperium came down to meet the humans. They landed in an empty field outside Seoul. The military had cleared a wide area around it. Commander Kim Sun led the Korean forces. Han stood nearby with other officers, watching through binoculars. "They're coming out," Commander Kim said. The door of the small ship opened. 3 tall figures stepped out. Han felt his breath catch. The aliens were not what he expected. They looked almost human, but with key differences. They stood taller than most men. Their skin was pale gray, but most striking were the feathers, soft crests that rose from their heads and ran down their backs. Their faces had sharp, pointed features, like birds of prey made to walk on 2 legs. "They look like the ships," Han whispered. "The same shape, the same feeling." The aliens walked with an odd grace. Each step seemed careful, measured. Han watched closely. There was something about the way they moved. "They're struggling," he realized. "They don't like our gravity." The Talon leader spoke. His voice was high and clear, like a bird's call made into words. "I am Vex, speaker for the Talon Imperium. We come to discuss terms of your surrender." Commander Kim stepped forward. "I am Commander Kim's son of the Korean Defense Forces. We have no plans to surrender our world to you." The alien's head tilted, like a bird studying something curious. "You misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. We are informing you of what will happen." As he spoke, a sound filled the air. Han looked up. Dozens of smaller ships flew overhead. They moved toward the city. "A demonstration," said Vex, "to help you understand." On screens set up nearby, Han watched as the ships positioned themselves over military bases around Seoul. Then beams of light shot down. Where they hit, buildings simply disappeared. No explosion, no fire, just gone. The alien spoke again. 3 days remain for your surrender. After that, we will remove all resistance." The aliens turned and walked back to their ship. Their message delivered. As they flew away, Commander Kim shouted orders. "Move our forces underground. Abandon the surface bases." In the command center below ground, chaos ruled. Reports came in from around the world. The same demonstration had happened everywhere. Key military targets gone. "They could have killed us all," said Captain Park. "Why didn't they?" "They want the planet intact," Han said. "They need our resources. Killing everyone would be wasteful." Commander Kim looked at Han. "Lieutenant, those tunnels you mapped, how many people can they hold?" "Thousands, if we use all the networks. More if we expand them." "And can their ships detect them?" Han thought about this. "I'm not sure, but I noticed something. They attack from above. They seem uncomfortable on the ground." As if to prove his point, a new report came in. A Talon ground patrol had been ambushed in the mountains. The aliens had struggled in the rough terrain. Human soldiers had managed to kill 3 before being driven back. "They're vulnerable on the ground," Commander Kim said, "especially in confined spaces." A young woman stepped forward. Han recognized her, Dr. Park Ji, a geologist who worked with the military. "There's more," she said. "The rocks in the deeper tunnels, they contain minerals that might block their scanners. I was studying them before the invasion." Han looked at the tunnel maps spread across the table. A plan began to form in his mind. "Commander," he said slowly, "what if we don't just hide in these tunnels? What if we use them to fight back?" Commander Kim studied the maps. "Go on." "They control the sky," Han said. "Their ships are like vultures, watching from above. But below ground, in the tight spaces where they can't fly, where their gravity issues work against them, we'd have the advantage," Commander Kim finished. Dr. Park pointed to areas on the map. "These regions have the highest concentration of the minerals I mentioned. If we base our operations there, they might not be able to detect us at all." Commander Kim nodded slowly, like a snake hiding in the grass, waiting to strike. Han felt a spark of hope for the first time since the ships appeared. "They think they've won because they own the sky," he said. "But the ground beneath their feet, that belongs to us." The deadline passed. The Talons took control of the surface. Deep underground, in an old subway maintenance tunnel, Han spread his maps on a makeshift table. Around him stood Commander Kim, Dr. Park, and 20 soldiers. The light from battery-powered lamps cast long shadows on the concrete walls. "We lost the surface," Commander Kim said, her voice tired but firm. "Seoul, Busan, Incheon, all major cities are under Talon control." "What about other countries?" a soldier asked. "The same," Commander Kim replied. "They control the skies everywhere, but they can't be everywhere on the ground." Han pointed to the map. "These tunnels connect to old bunkers from the war. This one leads to a storage area with food. This one goes near a water treatment plant we can access. We can move between them without going above ground." Dr. Park stepped closer. She had brought samples of rock, which she placed on the table. "This is what might save us," she said. She held up a dark, heavy stone. "This mineral is common in the deeper parts of these tunnels. When I tested it before the invasion, I found it blocked certain signals and scans." "And you think it might block Talon scanners?" Han asked. "I'm almost certain," Dr. Park said. "Yesterday, a Talon patrol walked right over one of our hiding spots. They had scanning devices, but found nothing." Commander Kim looked more hopeful. "So these tunnels don't just hide us physically. They make us invisible to their technology." "Not all tunnels," Dr. Park cautioned. "Only the ones with high concentrations of this mineral. I've marked them on the maps." Han studied the marks. They formed a pattern, like a line cutting under the city, like the spine of an animal. "We need to connect these areas," he said. "Create paths between them. Then we can move people and supplies without being detected." "Dig more tunnels?" a soldier asked. "With what equipment?" "We have some mining tools," Han said, "and we can get more. The Talons don't guard construction sites well. They don't think we can use heavy machinery without being noticed." "How long would it take?" Commander Kim asked. Han calculated. "Weeks, maybe months for a full network." "We don't have months," Commander Kim said. "The Talons are rounding up people daily, putting them in camps." "Then we start small," Han said. "Connect these 2 points first. Create one safe path. Use it to gather more tools, more people. Then expand." Dr. Park looked at the rocks again. "I have another idea. If this mineral blocks their scanners, what if we processed it, made it into a dust or powder? We could use it to hide things even outside the tunnels." Han nodded, "Like a smoke screen, but for their technology." For the first time in days, people in the room looked hopeful. "We need a name," a young soldier said, "for our resistance, for what we're building." Han looked at the map again, at the line of tunnels that would connect the safe zones. It reminded him of something. "Snake," he said. "We're like a snake hiding underground, waiting for the right moment." "I like it," Commander Kim said. "The Talons see themselves as birds of prey, but every predator can become prey." They worked through the night. Han divided people into teams. Some would dig new tunnels. Others would scavenge for supplies. A small group would help Dr. Park study the mineral. As dawn broke above them, no one on the surface would know that beneath their feet, the first coils of the snake were forming. Han looked at Dr. Park as she carefully examined rock samples. "Do you think we can really win?" he asked quietly, "against ships that can destroy buildings in seconds?" Dr. Park didn't look up from her work. "Birds rule the sky," she said, "but they still have to land sometime. And when they do," she crushed a rock in her hand, letting the dust fall through her fingers. "The ground will be waiting." 1 month after the Talon invasion, the underground network had grown. What started as separate hiding spots now connected like a spine with many ribs. Han wiped sweat from his face as he studied the newest tunnel. The work was hard, but they were making progress. Next to him stood Li Min, a man who had worked in mines before the invasion. Li had been a great help, teaching others how to dig safely. "This section is finished," Li said, pointing to the freshly dug path. Now we can move between the East Bunker and the old subway station without going above ground. Han nodded. Good. How many people can move through here? 2 at a time. It's narrow, but it works. They walked back to the main chamber, what they now called the hub. It was an old subway maintenance room, now filled with maps, equipment, and people planning the resistance. Commander Kim stood at the center table, talking with leaders from other hiding spots. They had made radio contact with resistance groups in other cities. The snake wasn't just in Seoul anymore. It was spreading across Korea. Lieutenant Han, Commander Kim called. Show them what you found. Han stepped forward. He placed a piece of Talon technology on the table. It was part of a communication device they had taken from a broken Talon scout ship. We can use this, Han explained. Lee and I took it apart. We found a way to listen to Talon messages. The others looked impressed. One woman asked, "Can they track this? Can they find us through it?" "No," Han said. Dr. Park covered it with mineral dust. It blocks their scanning. As if summoned by her name, Dr. Park entered the room. She carried a tray of small metal balls. "Our first batch is ready," she said, placing the tray on the table. "What are these?" asked one of the visitors. "We call them scale bombs," Dr. Park explained. "They don't explode to hurt people. They explode to spread the mineral dust in the air. It blocks Talon scanners and confuses their ships." Commander Kim picked up one of the balls. "How many have you made?" 50 so far, Dr. Park said. "But we can make more now that we know how." Han felt a surge of hope. With these new tools, they could do more than just hide. They could fight back. Commander Kim sensed it too. She addressed the group. "It's time to move from hiding to action. The Talons think we're beaten. They've grown comfortable. Their patrols are getting lazy." She pointed to a map of the city. "They have a main base here near the old sports stadium. Every day, ships land and take off from there, but they always follow the same paths. They're creatures of habit." Han saw where she was going with this. "You want to attack their ships?" "Not directly," Commander Kim said. "But we can disrupt their operations, use the scale bombs to confuse their scanners, make them waste time and resources looking for us." Lee looked worried. "If we attack, they'll hit back harder." "They will," Commander Kim agreed. "But they'll hit at the wrong places. They still don't understand what we're doing down here. They're looking for traditional resistance. People with guns fighting in the streets. They don't expect a snake." The plan came together quickly. Small teams would place scale bombs near Talon patrol routes. When the bombs went off, the mineral dust would block Talon sensors. In the confusion, other teams would steal supplies and free captured humans. As the meeting ended, Han found himself standing next to Dr. Park. "Do you think it will work?" she asked quietly. "The plan?" "Yes," Han said. "But it's just the beginning. We need to do more than just annoy them." Dr. Park nodded. "I'm working on something else, something bigger. But I need more time." Han looked at her curiously. "What is it?" She smiled slightly. "Let's just say, if the Talons want to rule our world, they should have studied our history better. Every invader eventually learns the same lesson." "What lesson?" "Never corner something that knows the land better than you do." The first attacks went better than anyone expected. Han watched from a hidden spot as a scale bomb went off near a Talon patrol. The small metal ball made a soft pop, not like a real bomb. Then gray dust filled the air around the Talon soldiers. The effect was instant. The aliens began moving in circles, confused. Their scanner devices made high-pitched sounds. The patrol leaders squawked orders, but no one seemed to know what to do. "It's working," Han whispered to Lee, who crouched beside him. "They can't see through the dust." Lee nodded. "Look at their faces. They're scared." It was true. The proud Talons, who had conquered Earth from the sky, looked lost and frightened on the ground. While they stumbled around, Han's team slipped past them, and into the supply depot behind them. They took medicine, food, and parts from broken machines. Most important, they took more of the special metal the Talons used for their ships and devices. By the time the dust settled, Han's team was gone, back underground through a narrow tunnel hidden behind an old shop. In the hub, Dr. Park waited eagerly for the metal they had stolen. "Perfect," she said, examining the pieces. "With this, I can make the next version." "Next version of what?" Han asked. Dr. Park led him to her work area. On a table lay what looked like a bigger version of the scale bomb. "I've been studying how their ships communicate," she explained. "The mineral doesn't just block their scanners. In the right form, it can disrupt their whole communication system." Han understood. "So we could disable a ship, not just confuse ground troops." "Yes," Dr. Park said. "If we can get one of these close enough to a ship, we could ground it temporarily, maybe long enough to capture it." Commander Kim joined them. That would change everything. Their ships are their biggest advantage. Over the next 2 weeks, teams across the city used scale bombs in coordinated attacks. Each time, they disrupted Talon operations and stole more supplies. The snake grew stronger. Then came an unexpected change. The Talons sent more ground troops. They seemed to be everywhere now, patrolling in larger groups, digging at random spots. In an emergency meeting, Commander Kim explained the new threat. "They're looking for us underground," she said. "They know we're here somewhere." "How?" asked Lee. "Our tunnels are hidden. The mineral blocks their scans." Someone talked. Commander Kim said simply. "They captured people, got information." The room grew quiet. Everyone knew what that meant. The Talons had ways to make people talk. "We need to move our main base," Han suggested. "Go deeper." Dr. Park shook her head. "We can't abandon all this work. Besides, I'm close to finishing the ship disruptor." "How close?" Commander Kim asked. 3 days, maybe 4. Commander Kim made a decision. "We stay, double the guards at every entrance. No one goes out without direct orders." That night, Han couldn't sleep. He walked the tunnels, checking on guards, making sure everything was secure. Near the east entrance, he found Dr. Park sitting alone, working on calculations. "You should rest," he told her. "Can't," she said without looking up. "Too much to do." Han sat next to her. "The Talons are getting desperate. That's why they're sending so many ground troops. We're hurting them." Dr. Park finally looked at him. "We're annoying them." "There's a difference." "What do you mean?" "Their ships are still up there." She pointed up, though they were deep underground. "Watching. Waiting. We need to do more than just hide and steal." "The ship disruptor," Han began, "is just the start." Dr. Park finished. "Han, do you know why birds fear snakes? It's not just because snakes can bite. It's because snakes can go where birds can't. They can climb to nests. They can wait in hidden places." She showed him her calculations. "If this works, we won't just disable their ships. We'll take one. And then we'll show them what humans can really do." For the first time since the invasion, Han saw not just hope in her eyes, but something more. Something like victory. The Talons brought in the big machines 3 days later, giant metal drills that cut through rock like it was soft dirt. The ground shook as they dug, hunting for the snake's tunnels. "They're getting close to Tunnel 4, Lee reported, pointing to a map. Dust fell from the ceiling as another drill passed overhead. Commander Kim looked grim. "Move everyone from that section. Seal the connecting tunnels." They had prepared for this. Each tunnel could be closed off if needed. The snake might lose parts of itself, but the main body would survive. Han gathered his team to check the barriers. As they worked, the sound of drilling grew louder. "They're right above us," one soldier whispered. Suddenly, the ceiling cracked. Dirt and rocks fell. Everyone ran except Han, who was trapped behind a fallen beam. "Go," he shouted to the others. "Seal the tunnel." As dust filled the air, Han saw a hole open in the ceiling. A drill broke through, then stopped. Talon voices called to each other. They had found part of the snake. Han crawled into a small side passage, one the Talons might miss. He held his breath as 3 Talon soldiers dropped into the tunnel. They wore masks and carried weapons that glowed with blue light. The Talons searched the area but didn't find the side passage. They moved deeper into the tunnel, away from Han. He waited until they were gone, then started to leave his hiding spot. A noise stopped him, a soft, pained sound. Han looked back and saw a 4th Talon had dropped into the tunnel. This one had fallen badly. It lay on the ground, one leg bent at a wrong angle. Han could have left it there, could have escaped while the other Talons were away. But something made him pause. The injured Talon looked young, its feathers not fully grown. It made that sound again, a chirp of pain. Without its mask, which had fallen off, its face looked almost afraid. Han made a quick decision. He moved to the Talon and put a hand over its mouth. "Quiet," he said. "I won't hurt you." The Talon's eyes went wide. It tried to reach for a weapon, but Han held its arms. "Your leg is broken," Han said. "I can help, but you must be quiet." The Talon stopped struggling. Han used his belt and a piece of wood to make a splint for the alien's leg. As he worked, he noticed how the Talon breathed heavily, like someone carrying too much weight. "You don't like it here, do you?" Han asked quietly. "The gravity. It's too strong for you." The Talon looked surprised. Then it spoke in careful human words. "Heavy. Always. Heavy." Han nodded. "Your world has less gravity than Earth. That's why you stay in your ships when you can. Why you struggle on the ground." The alien studied Han with eyes that looked like a bird's, but with something more behind them. "Why? Help?" it asked. Before Han could answer, they heard voices. The other Talons were coming back. "Stay still," Han whispered. "Tell them you saw nothing." He slipped back into his hiding spot just as the other Talons returned. They found their injured companion and called for help. Soon, more Talons came and took the young one away. Han waited hours before it was safe to move. When he finally made it back to the hub, everyone was surprised to see him alive. "We thought you were caught," Lee said, hugging him. Han shook his head. "No, but I learned something important." He told them about the Talon and its struggle with Earth's gravity. "That explains why they prefer their ships," Commander Kim said. "Why they avoid ground combat when possible." Dr. Park looked thoughtful. "If Earth's gravity weakens them over time, then the longer we make them fight on the ground, the better chance we have." Han finished. A new plan began to form, not just to hide from the Talons or disrupt them, but to force them into a long ground war they couldn't win. The predators from the sky had a weakness after all, and now the snake knew how to use it. "Operation Rattlesnake begins in 3 hours, Commander Kim told the gathered resistance leaders. "All teams must strike at the same time." 2 weeks had passed since Han's encounter with the injured Talon. In that time, Dr. Park had finished her ship disruptor, and the resistance had made a bold plan. Han looked at the faces around him, people from all walks of life. Soldiers, teachers, workers now united as the snake. Their plan was simple but dangerous: force the Talons to fight on the ground, in places where Earth's gravity would work against them. "Remember," Han said, "don't try to win quick battles. Make them chase you, make them climb, make them tire themselves out." Teams across the city would attack Talon patrols, then retreat into tunnels, mines, and deep valleys, places where the heavy gravity would drain the alien's strength fastest. Lee handed out the new weapons Dr. Park had designed, small devices that could disrupt Talon equipment. "Hit their communication gear first," Lee explained. "Make them call for help. The more troops they send to the ground, the better." Han's team would lead the most important part of the mission. They would place Dr. Park's large disruptor near the main Talon landing area. If it worked, It would disable a ship long enough for them to capture it. As people prepared to leave, Dr. Park pulled Han aside. "I made something for you," she said, giving him a small device. "It's a translator, based on what we've learned from their communication systems." Han looked surprised. "You think I'll need to talk to them?" "I think," Dr. Park said carefully, "that not all Talons are the same. Like the young one you helped." Han nodded. He had thought about that Talon often, wondered what happened to it. At the exact time planned, the resistance struck. All across the city, scale bombs went off. Talon patrols found themselves surrounded by the mineral dust that blinded their scanners. Then human fighters attacked, quick and precise. Han watched from his position as confusion spread among the Talons. Just as planned, they called for help. More and more Talons came down from their ships to fight. "They're taking the bait," Han whispered to his team. "Now for our part." They moved toward the landing area. Dr. Park's disruptor was heavy, needing 2 people to carry it. They set it up behind an old wall, aiming at where the ships landed. "Ready?" Han asked. Dr. Park nodded and pressed a button. The device hummed softly. Nothing seemed to happen at first. Then a Talon ship coming in to land suddenly wobbled in the air. Its lights flickered. It dropped the last few meters, hitting the ground hard. "It works," Dr. Park said, eyes wide with excitement. The ship's door opened. Confused Talons stumbled out, looking around for the source of the problem. They moved slowly, struggling more than usual. The gravity hurts them even more when they're not ready for it, Han realized. His team moved in. Using scale bombs to create cover, they rushed toward the disabled ship. Fighting broke out, but the Talons were at a disadvantage. They tired quickly on the ground, their movements growing slower with each passing minute. In the chaos, Han and Dr. Park slipped into the ship. Inside, they found what they were looking for, the communication center. "Can you make it work?" Han asked. Dr. Park studied the controls. "Yes. Give me a few minutes." Outside, the fighting continued. The Talons were calling more troops to the ground, exactly as planned. All across the city, similar battles were happening. The snake was making the vultures come down from the sky. Dr. Park suddenly gasped. "Han, look at this." On a screen, they could see Talon messages flashing between ships. Dr. Park's translator converted them to human words. "Is this right?" Han asked, reading the messages. "Are they really?" "Yes," Dr. Park said. "The Talon commanders are arguing with each other. Some want to continue the fight. Others," she pointed to one message, "others are questioning if Earth is worth the cost." For the first time, Han saw real hope. Not just of survival, but of victory. "The tide is turning," he said softly. 3 days after Operation Rattlesnake, the Resistance had control of 2 Talon ships. Teams around the world reported similar successes. The Snake had grown from a local resistance to a global movement. In the captured ship's control room, Han, Dr. Park, and Commander Kim met with resistance leaders from other countries via the Talon communication system. "Japan has captured a ship," reported a woman from Tokyo. "China has 3. America has 5. Commander Kim nodded. "Good. Phase 1 is complete. Now for Phase 2. Phase 2 was bold, perhaps too bold, some thought. But after months of hiding, of being hunted, humans were ready to stand up. "Dr. Park, is the system ready?" Commander Kim asked. "Yes," Dr. Park said. "We can broadcast to all Talon ships at once. They won't be able to block it." Han looked at the message they had prepared. It was simple but strong. A demand for the Talons to negotiate, backed by proof that humans could disable their entire fleet if needed. "Send it," Commander Kim ordered. Dr. Park pressed a button. The message went out, transmitted to every Talon ship in Earth's orbit. They waited. An hour passed. Then 2. Han paced the control room, wondering if the Talons would even respond. Maybe they would just attack with everything they had. Then the communication screen lit up. A Talon appeared, older than most they had seen, with gray feathers around its face. The translator identified him as the Talon Supreme Commander. "You have our attention," the Talon said. "Explain how you disabled our ships." Commander Kim stepped forward. "We understand your technology better than you thought. We can disable more ships if we choose, or we can talk." The Talon Supreme Commander tilted his head, studying them. "What do you propose?" "A meeting," Commander Kim said, "face to face, to discuss terms for peace." "Peace?" The Talon seemed surprised. "After we invaded your world?" Han spoke up. "We don't want more fighting, but we won't surrender our world either." The Supreme Commander was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "3 representatives. Neutral location. Tomorrow." The screen went dark. Commander Kim looked at Han and Dr. Park. "You two will come with me to this meeting." "Us?" Han asked, surprised. "Why not military leaders?" "This isn't just about fighting anymore," Commander Kim said. "It's about finding a way forward. Han, you showed mercy to one of them. Dr. Park, you understand their technology. You both see them as more than just enemies." The meeting place was set, an empty field outside the city, the same place where the Talons had first landed to deliver their ultimatum months ago. As they walked to the meeting, Han felt strange being above ground in daylight. The sky was clear except for the Talon ships, hanging like dark birds. 3 Talons waited for them. The Supreme Commander stood in the center. To his right was a military leader with sharp, angry eyes. But to his left, "That's him," Han whispered to Dr. Park. "The young one I helped." The young Talon's leg had healed, though he walked with a slight limp. He looked at Han and gave a small nod of recognition. Commander Kim spoke first. "We have shown we can fight you on equal terms. We can disable your ships, make it impossible for you to stay on our world." The Talon military leader made a dismissive sound. "You got lucky. We can still destroy your cities from orbit." "Yes," Commander Kim agreed. "And we can bring down your ships. We would both lose many lives, or we can find another way." The Supreme Commander studied them. "What way do you suggest?" Commander Kim laid out their offer. The Talons could have limited access to Earth's resources. They could establish bases in agreed areas. But they must recognize Earth as humanity's home and work with humans, not against them. "Why would we agree to this?" the military leader demanded. "We came to take this world." The young Talon suddenly spoke. "Because this world is already taken." He looked at Han. "And its people are stronger than we thought." The Supreme Commander turned to the young Talon. "You believe we should accept their terms, Scout Kai." "I believe," said the young Talon, "that an enemy who shows mercy when they have power is rare and worth listening to." 5 years after the invasion, Earth was a different place. Not perfect, but better than anyone had dared hope during those dark days when the Talon ships first appeared in the sky. Han stood on the roof of the new Joint Science Center, watching ships move through the clear blue sky. Some were human-made, others Talon. They no longer looked like enemies circling each other. Now they were just traffic, coming and going in peace, enjoying the view. Dr. Park asked, joining him at the edge of the roof. Now his wife of 3 years, she led the center's research team. "Always," Han said, smiling at her. "Hard to believe there was a time when seeing their ships made us hide underground." The peace agreement had held. The Talons got some of what they wanted. Access to minerals they needed from Earth. Humans kept their world and gained new technology, new knowledge of space. Most importantly, both sides learned from each other. The new students arrived today, Dr. Park reminded him. The largest group yet. Han nodded. He now ran the exchange program that taught humans about Talon spaceflight technology, while Talons learned how humans had adapted to Earth's stronger gravity. The snake tunnels, once a hiding place for resistance fighters, were now the foundation for new underground cities. Places where humans and Talons worked together on science projects. living spaces that used the best ideas from both worlds. A tall figure approached them across the roof. Scout Kai, now the official Talon ambassador to Earth. His limp was barely noticeable now, thanks to medical treatments developed by human and Talon doctors working together. Han, Dr. Park. Kai greeted them with a small bow, a human custom he had adopted. The Supreme Commander sends his regards. He will visit next month for the anniversary ceremony. 5 years since the peace treaty, a time for both species to remember what had happened and celebrate what had changed. The new mining agreement is ready, Kai continued. Your teams can begin work in the southern region. Our engineers will help with the deep tunnels. Han smiled at the irony. Humans were still digging tunnels, but now to help both species live better, not to hide and fight. Commander Kim has news from the space station, Kai added. The first joint mission to Mars will launch next year as planned. Han felt pride at that. From enemies to allies in space exploration in just 5 years. It was more than anyone could have expected. As they walked back inside, students filled the halls. Young humans and Talons, learning side by side. Some Talons wore special gravity suits that helped them adapt to Earth's pull. Human students practiced moving in lower gravity chambers to prepare for space travel. In the main classroom, Han saw a familiar face. Li Min, who had helped build the snake's tunnels, and now taught mining technology to both species. Remember when we thought this day would never come? Han asked Dr. Park quietly as they watched the students take their seats. She took his hand. I remember thinking we'd be lucky just to survive. I never imagined this. Later that day, Han visited the memorial in the center of the city. A simple stone carving showed 2 animals, a bird and a snake, not fighting, but circled together in balance. Below it were written the words that had become famous. Their vultures swarmed the sky. Our snake waited beneath their feet. Now we both walk the same ground. He placed his hand on the cool stone, remembering friends lost in the fighting, wondering what they would think of this new world. A young Talon student stopped beside him, looking at the memorial. Is it true, the student asked, that you were part of the snake? Han nodded. Many of us were. And now you teach us instead of fighting us. The student seemed confused. How did you change so quickly? Han thought about this. We didn't really change, he said finally. Humans have always been good at adapting. Finding new ways forward. That's our greatest strength. He looked up at the sky where Talon ships flew peacefully alongside human aircraft. Not our weapons, he said softly, but our ability to turn enemies into friends.